You're listening to Ecto Portal, a journey into the unknown with Anthony Anderson and Verna Wilson.
Mommy, have you seen my doll? I want my doll, Mommy. Have you seen my doll, Mommy?
Hello and welcome back to the Ecto Portal. Another journey into the unknown and the known and the never will known. Sorry. This is Anthony Anderson, your host of Ecto Portal. I'm here with my co-host,
Verna Wilson. Good to be back. I was ill last week, but I am feeling much better.
That's right. She's back. She's better. We build her stronger, faster, better. She's ready to go.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
She's a bionic woman.
Exactly. And we're also here
Only
with...
I could run as fast, yeah.
With me, Linda Walker.
Linda Walker. She's just Linda Walker. She doesn't
I'm just
do
Linda
anything.
Walker, news lady.
There you go.
Paranormal lady.
Paranormal lady. Para-abnormal lady.
Well, that's what they say.
All right. So, yeah, we weren't on last week, right? I have to admit, I went and saw The Lion King. That's why we weren't on, because I bought my tickets like months in advance, because that's the only way you can ever see The Lion King. And I was a little disappointed because I saw it in Los Angeles in the 90s when it first came out. Loved a huge spectacle, and I went and saw it here, 15 years later. The tour is smaller. They've cut back. It's not as impressive. And I was like, okay, Disney's cut down once again. They did that to Beauty and the Beast, too. They lost a candlestick here, a plate there.
Oh, no, you could have had the candlestick.
Not the whole thing, huh? That's too bad.
For Beauty and the Beast, they used to call it Beauty's Been Decreased.
Oh, no.
That's when they cut back all the actors and the props, and they got rid of the fireworks, and it was just confetti. And yeah, Lion King didn't suffer as badly, but the costumes I noticed were a little bit
not as
intricate,
yeah.
I guess.
Could have been
Spectacular.
a budget thing.
Well, it's
maybe?
Disney cutting corners.
Oh, right. Well,
So you keep these tours going around the world constantly. You want to fine tune them, make it simpler to get in and out of costumes, not have to repair them as much. Maybe you lose a couple puppets here and there. That's less maintenance,
Well,
But then it
Orpheum
loses some
Theater
of
is
the
pretty
magic.
small, too.
It is pretty small. I was
I mean,
surprised how small that theater is. The Orpheum.
It's a small theater.
Golden Gate's a lot bigger,
Oh, yeah.
which I actually think has better acoustic sound than Golden Gate. But
Oh, well.
But that's what I did. And then for Thanksgiving, I did absolutely positively nothing. I mean,
nothing's good
I
if
made
you
it-
want to do nothing.
Exactly. I put a couple of our shows together for the future. But other than that,
But before
I watched
Thanksgiving.
TV and watched American Horror Story, wrapped up the season, watched that.
Good, I'm glad.
I'm caught up on Westworld. That's ready to end. Yeah, It was.
How do you like Westworld?
It's a little slow.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's like a really big, slowly building novel. It's actually quite good, but I'm used to shows that are just in your face that I forgot. Sometimes you should just enjoy a show and its characters and kind
With
of
the plot
develop.
building up.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's doing. It's building like a novel. So,
Oh, yeah.
and they've renewed it. They want to make it their next Game of Thrones and have it seasons and seasons and seasons. So,
Oh,
that
God.
So you're just
HBO
going to
is
have to
ready.
watch the whole thing and see what happens.
I have to now. I'm invested a whole season. Of course I am. So that's it. So what did you do, Verna?
Well, I was recovering from being sick, so I really couldn't do a whole lot. I just decided on Thanksgiving I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
I was trying to do what you call well girl activities. I was trying to do my
I like that term. I've never heard
well
that before.
girl activities.
Where does that come from? Is that your term?
That's my term. It's a
I
Verna
like it.
term. Yeah.
Well girl activity.
Well girl
It sounds like a
activities.
novel from the 60s, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So I was trying to do what you call well girl activities, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be Superwoman today. I'm going to clear the house. I'm going to really rearrange things. I'm going to clean a lot of stuff. And here I was walking to my Kleenex box and blowing my nose constantly and just feeling really yucky. Oh, I better lay down. I'm not feeling good, but I'll be fine in an hour. That didn't work. I got up. Oh, I feel crappy. I'm going to have tea. Oh, I feel crappy. I want to go lay down again. I thought, you know what? I give up. I'm not well still. Forget it.
You do exactly what I do when I'm sick. I'm like, I'm home. I have all this time. I'm going to do this and this
Yeah,
and this
you
and this, and I'll get done nothing.
Right. My head was full of ideas,
Yep.
but my body said, no frickin' way.
Isn't that the worst?
Right. So I thought, okay, I have tea. I have a large bookshelf. I have writing to do.
Cats.
I have cats. I thought, it's time for quiet sick girl activities.
Yeah, that's the sequel follow-up book.
Not well girl
Sick girl.
activities. Right. So it wasn't my ideal of a Thanksgiving, but it worked for what it was.
So you're well, so it worked.
I'm well, so now I can do well girl activities.
It's funny, when I was younger, my philosophy would be like, oh, I'm sick, I want to get better, I got to go do stuff, and I go do stuff before I'm completely better. Mm-hmm. And I always wonder why it lasts so long. When I got older and I realized, if you force yourself to stay in bed and sleep, even if you don't want to, knock yourself out, take medication, whatever, sleep the whole day and night, guess what? When you wake up the next day, you feel like a week further than you would have when you never stayed in bed.
Right. It's hard to do, but sometimes you just have to.
But it really works. If you really put in the dedication for one whole day and night, it will give you a jump
Sweat it
start.
out.
Right. Sweat it out.
Sweat
Force
it out.
yourself to do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about you?
Oh,
Linda?
Yeah, what about
glad
you?
you asked me.
What about you?
Yeah. What about you?
Well, if you guys got to know.
We do.
Let's see. Before Thanksgiving, I went to Preston Castle with you.
That's right. I did go.
Well, no, actually, first I had an art show.
Oh, yeah,
And
the art show.
I
Yeah.
had my little art show, and it went okay. It was my first art show. It was down here in the basement in the Oddfellows
That was
building. But we did have delicious Mexican food, and everybody bought each other's art.
Yeah. So at least we helped each
There was
other
some nice
out.
art out
we
there.
had some few people that came by and
Yep.
stuff, but hopefully next year, if I get to do it again, maybe we'll be
Back upstairs?
back upstairs. Hopefully,
I
We
think
never
that'll
know.
be a nice atmosphere
And
back upstairs.
then I went to Preston Castle the very next day with Anthony.
She did. We did go to Preston Castle. We hopped on the
did.
Mega Fuss bus.
Oh,
And
the
I heard
mega
all
buzz.
about that
Oh.
investigation. You guys will have to talk about it.
All right.
All right. The place was incredible. It was humongous. They had huge pumpkins outside the front of the
Huge.
house.
We're talking
huge pumpkins.
half the size of this couch was
Oh my
one of the
God.
pumpkins.
We stayed at a lovely little hotel called the Ion
Hotel.
And it was just absolutely gorgeous.
1800s.
Oh yeah, it was
Haunted.
just gorgeous with Jackie, and I met a bunch of crazy paranormal investigators, practically all ladies.
Michelle,
Lori, Susan, Lori,
Yep.
Mariah,
Yep, Mariah.
and Pam and Misty, and just a great group of people I have ever met. I had so much fun, and just a big shout out to you guys if you're listening tonight. I love you all, and I can hardly wait for the Hornet next year with you girls.
See, she
it's
had a
gonna
good time.
be too much fun.
And I can't go to the Hornet because I'll be at the Doctor Who convention.
I know.
And we won't have a show that week because I'll be at the Doctor Who convention.
Thanks for telling me in advance.
And this is not
I told
happening
you
until
before, but
February.
it's
Oh,
so
you did,
far
didn't you?
away.
Okay.
And the biggest shout out is to you, Jackie Cleef. I love you. Thank
Klebe,
you.
with a B.
Oh, I know. She knows. I just want to thank you so much. I love you. I love you. I love you for, having me at the at Preston, and there was a lot of
I don't
people
know. You
got
have
evidence.
competition. Jackie's got
I have
a
a
number
question
one
about
fan.
Jackie from the press. And did she do the butt dance?
Yes, I think she
press.
did the butt dance.
I have to know if she did the butt dance.
She
I
did.
think she did.
I heard she did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And everybody
It wouldn't
got
be
evidence.
Jackie without it.
Everybody got evidence. I had some great personal experiences. I had a ghost that hissed at me. They're always
That's right.
hissing or growling.
Now,
Now, why
Company
did he
B.
hiss at you? What is the point of
She
that?
was just sitting there
I was just
asking
sitting
to push
there,
a ball on the
push a
floor.
ball, and I heard it.
But maybe
You
it was
know,
air.
I've
just
heard
in
that
Yeah.
before, but I don't get that. I mean, it would be like me looking at Anthony going at him. It's like,
But
what's the
no,
point?
but you got to
But
look
yeah,
at
but
it.
somebody
Maybe
told me
whatever
the-
it is, it's air. It's not actually hissing
Right.
at you.
Right,
It's trying to
exactly.
speak.
Yeah,
Is trying
would
to
make
speak,
sense.
trying to communicate with me.
That would
You
make
know, I
sense.
was
See, I'm
trying to
defending the
communicate with a
spirits here.
child.
You are. You're
to play
a
ball
good
with
advocate
me.
for
Yeah.
them.
Anyhow, it was fantastic. I got some really great personal experiences, and will I come back? Oh heck yeah, I'm coming back.
It was a little better this time than the last time I was there because it's hot and cold at Preston. Sometimes you'll go there and you'll get nothing.
Right.
But it was okay. It
Well,
was,
ghosts
it was,
don't come on
And it was
cue.
raining.
It was raining, and that brought a lot of energy.
I didn't
It
see a
rained
rat.
lot.
Maybe that's why. Whenever I don't see a rat, there's activity. So
There's a lot of rats around the place. Well, it's
Yeah.
no building,
there's
of course.
And I
rats
saw the
in the
giant
walls,
white
there's-
owl. I saw the giant white owl outside.
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah.
There's
yeah.
a white owl around
Oh,
there?
yeah, yeah.
He lives there or something?
Yep. A bunch of them.
You should have heard it. It sounded like screeching. It was
Yep.
so spooky, especially in the tower, this huge tower, and we heard it.
Pretty
and then
cool.
Tony
Like the
and I
sounds
were
of the
like,
haunted
"Oh,
house, the
God."
Disney album.
It was totally it would have been a Disney.
Except
album.
it's the real thing.
The real thing.
And
Yeah.
then I went to cat sit over a friend's place down in Vallejo. He
Ooh,
lived
let
right by the
down.
bay. I had a wonderful thing. What?
Just kidding. Continue. What were you doing?
See what I have to put
Wait,
up.
what did you do after Preston?
Oh, so I cat sit in Vallejo for a friend. Yay! He was a talker.
He was a
Okay.
cute one,
Oh,
too.
he was cute.
She showed me
And-
pictures. A
and,
tuxedo cat.
I was
Well, how was the cat?
the cat is like a tuxedo cat, and he's
I'll show you pictures.
Cute.
He's really
and
cute.
he's you pet him.
She called me on the phone one day and I heard meow, meow in the back.
He
Wow.
he was a love bug.
If
And
a cat did that to me, that's not love, baby. That's
no,
back
he's just
away.
a talker, you know. And
I had a
made
talker,
little,
Siamese
I didn't
cats,
make
we
a
had those.
turkey, but I made a stuffed roast chicken with
Oh.
stuffing and everything. And it was very nice. And then I went to the Oddfellows
I saw that in Vallejo.
in
with
Vallejo.
TJ.
Oh, let me tell you, we got to go and investigate
I
that.
keep hearing that, but nobody makes any plans.
5
so.
spirits and a little child.
How about 5 spirits, little child, and me? Could you set that up?
I'd like to see the Oddfellows building. in
Yeah.
Vallejo.
Absolutely, we can. Well,
Have they ever done
our
a field
brother
trip
TJ
there?
will be happy to open that up for
Has
us.
he ever done a field trip there from our lodge? They
no,
probably did.
I don't
and
think
wasn't.
so.
If they
Well, we
did,
got
I
to
don't
arrange
remember.
one.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vallejo is weird and creepy
It's
place to
weird?
be. I mean, wow. And went to the art studios over there. It's just a really
Wow.
cool underground place to hang out.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that was my week.
All right, you know what time it is? Time for
So funny this. So funny this song came out because we also saw Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2.
the originals.
The originals.
Did you
yeah.
watch the new one yet?
No, I haven't
That's
seen
pretty
that
good.
one
I've
yet.
never
I'm
seen either
planning
one.
to.
Can you believe it? I've never seen either one.
The original, you know, it was never my favorite. It was kind of jokey.
I like Ghostbusters 2 better.
Oh, okay.
No, I love both of them. I don't care.
All right, let's not go there.
Well, anyhow,
Anyhow.
so you want to hear some really fun news?
Tell
this
us the
evening?
news, baby.
Okay. This one is coming all the way from West Yorkshire. There was this group of people, paranormal investigators, went to one of the oldest Britain's buildings or something like that. And one of her name is Julie Crawford, 55, began snapping pictures after a member of her team said that she saw an old maid in an apron.
An old maid?
An old maid in an apron. Yes. I guess they were taking pictures and everything, and she turned around and she saw this woman coming down the stairs and start taking pictures and capture this woman walking down the stairs.
Oh wait, I remember the hand on the railing.
Yeah, she's got her hand on the railing.
It was kind of hard to
See
make
it?
out the rest of the picture. Kind of. It's
No,
kind of.
you can see it.
Okay.
You can see the head, and you can see the hand and the railing.
I
and
could see the
everything.
hand sort of from
And
the
you can
back.
kind of see her hair was kind of old-fashioned.
Bunny up in a bun or something.
I guess so.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. So if you want to see the picture and read the whole article, it's on our page, Echo Portal. Oh. So you can check that out.
Okay.
And let's see, what else did I just had so much fun? Oh yeah. Turkey, from all places in the world, there was a huge UFO sighting. I mean, people thought it was going to be the end of the world, or it was going to be independent.
Like War of the Worlds?
Pretty much. 100-spot fleet of UFOs hovering over Turkey, all over. I mean, everywhere in Turkey. People were taking pictures, and there's like...
I could see where that would be a panic in Turkey right now. I could see
yeah.
where I would be a
Wow.
little afraid. Like, what are all those lights in the sky?
Absolutely. So they find these spacecrafts, and a lot of people are taking pictures, and they're just freaking out, and
Wow.
the pictures are very impressive. Reminds me a little bit of the Phoenix Lights and some other pictures that
Oh,
other
yeah,
people
yeah.
have been taking. These sightings, over the years, I have seen the same thing. So, but this time it's in Turkey.
Yeah, that's
And
unusual.
and usually they come around mostly in the United States in certain areas, but
Mexico gets them.
Mexico gets them a
I
lot.
wonder why
well,
they
get them
chose
a lot.
Turkey this time.
Probably because of all the conflict. is
Well,
my
you know,
guess.
Turkey
Could be.
has always been the start of World War One, World War Two.
Well, it's the holy.
conflicts,
It's part.
everything.
It's
It's
off of the Holy Land. I mean,
absolutely
that
right.
whole area is
Absolutely.
wow.
So, if you want to read the whole article and see the pictures, you go to our page, Ecto Portal.
Did you already post them all?
Yes, I did.
Cool.
They're posted on.
There it is.
And
That's
awesome.
another one. Now, I know a lot of sci-fi fans love H.G. Wells, right?
Oh,
That's
wait,
right.
wait, wait. I have an old book of H.G. Wells that he wrote before he would turn to science fiction. It's one of his first books. Okay.
Which one?
I'm done bragging.
What is it called?
What's it
It's
called?
it's called The Passionate Friends.
Oh.
I think it mentions that in the article too.
I
that-
think he does.
He does?
Because,
Oh, wow.
In the because this one they discover a book that he did when he was in his 30s in the 1880s, and it's called The Haunted Ceiling.
Oh, I don't have that one. I only had The
And,
Passionate
he did that when he turned when he was around 30 and left it unseen by others, and they found it a century later, and I guess they're going to probably publish it so people can read it.
Wow.
So that's really, really exciting.
Wish
Very
I had a
cool.
first. I guess I couldn't have a first printing because it's never been published.
Yeah, I would get the first printing if I could find it, but the first
But-
printing is going to be newly published.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a second edition. So check that one out for you fans.
That's
and
awesome.
also, last but not least, the Chinese astronaut has been going a little viral that he was talking about when he was up in outer space with a spacecraft.
Wasn't he like the first?
He's the first Chinese astronaut up there, I think.
He's like the 237th human, and he was like also now a general, I guess. Or
Right,
something.
something like that. That he talked about his experience, that he had some strange knocking in the spaceship, and he just couldn't figure it out.
Knocking.
Knocking.
Was it inside the
Like-
ship or outside?
In he said I think it was outside the ship, like somebody was trying to get in. Yeah, and he talked about his experience. He was trying to figure out if it came from the controls or maybe the spaceship or anything. But apparently, I think the spaceship was pretty quiet, and I'm sure space there is silence, and just hearing that knocking. Now I can think that could be from probably maybe other astronauts had died in space. Maybe they're trying to get in, or maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
we are a form of energy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That maybe it could be a paranormal activity in outer space. You never know.
but if I heard outside my ship, I'd be like,
Somebody there?
Yeah, totally.
"Come in, come on in."
Well, check out the article. It's very interesting. I think you
Wait,
guys will really
didn't he
enjoy it.
mention something about there was other astronauts that had the same experience?
Did he?
At the very end,
Oh,
it
wait a
talks
second.
about
Wait.
he-
He's nervous and move closer, try to find the cause. Nothing. Blah blah blah.
and he told other astronauts, "Don't worry about it. That knocking is normal." I mean, normal? I guess normal because he hears it and nothing happened to him.
Well, actually, you're right, and I'm so sorry I missed that part. The sound has been heard by in Shenho 6 and Shenho 7. Seven other astronauts heard it.
Yeah, how?
And they said, and he told them, and they said it sounds like a normal phenomenon, so there is no need to worry.
Next time it's going to be.
That would be something to talk about.
And that'll be the end of it all.
Or maybe it's Darth Vader.
Luke.
Sounded like somebody who had asthma.
No, he had a CPAP machine, I think.
Well, anyhow, that's the news. I hope you guys enjoy the articles, and we'll see what we can come up with next week.
Thank you. All right, that was good. Thank you, Linda, the news lady.
You're
What?
welcome.
Cat photos. You're going to have to elaborate into the microphone because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, talk about the cat photos for now.
Oh, the cat photos. You mean, the spirit photo. I thought you meant cat photos. I guess they
have
were
no
of your
cat
cat.
photos.
That
I'm
wasn't
not
like the
that
main
kind
focus.
of a pervert.
Go ahead. Take it away.
I was saying, what about the cat photos?
Now
Well,
I understand.
My cat did not strip on camera.
No, my cat did not strip on camera. But here's the story behind that. I came home from shopping in the Mission with Linda, and we had a bunch of grocery bags in our hands. And I just came home. My cat was sitting there on the shelf looking at us, and I just something pushed me and said, "You got to take a picture of your cat." And I've taken pictures of him on that shelf many times, so I don't know why I was making a big deal this time. But I just put the groceries down, and I said, "Linda, I'm taking a picture of Apollo on that shelf." So I went up and I took a picture, and then when I saw the picture, I go, "Linda, you have to come take a look at this." So Linda took a look at that, and she goes, "Whoa." And she said, "Well, let's do this." So what was your reaction was?
I'm a skeptic. Let's try all different kinds of angles and ways and everything to find out if this is truly a spirit photo or it's not.
Right. So the first thing we tried to do was debunk the photos. So we turned off different lights. We pulled down the window shade. We tried everything. We tried different poses, lots of different settings, and every time we took a picture, we still got that same beam in the photo.
Also, my husband came over, and because I was going to make dinner for everybody, and we told my husband Ted about that, and he says, "Give me the phone, give me this and that." So he tried, and he took pictures, same way she did and everything. No.
Nothing.
It was in the
Nothing.
same phone?
Same
Yeah,
phone.
same
And here's a
phone.
question for you. Had the phone ever been shut off between the time you took it and the time he took it? And
Yes.
we turned back
Yes.
on again?
Yes.
See, that was
That's it.
something I wouldn't have thought about it probably when I was if I was
Yes,
with
it
you
was.
guys.
But that's-
I think about it now, but maybe that would have been another one to
No,
turn
but
the
I
phone
did-
off and back on again.
But see, when we took the spirit photos, I told her to turn off the phone for a bit.
She did.
But
And
did you?
I told her to turn off the phone for at least 5 minutes. And she turned off the phone for 5-10 minutes. And I said, now turn the phone back on without these lights, whatever, or just with the same light, and see if you get the same kind of picture.
And
she
we
did.
did.
And
Okay.
we got the same,
Okay.
we
We got
got a
it.
different angle.
All right, so that would have been the last thing I could think of that would. So that's
Believe me, I
interesting.
tried all kinds of stuff.
And then we
'cause-
posed next to the cat, and
Yeah, I
we said,
saw
"Let's."
that.
We said,
That was funny.
"Let's take a picture next to the cat and see if we get it with us." We did, and then the cat turned around and he was getting annoyed. We took pictures of the cat when he turned around
Poor
the other
Paul.
way, and he was just getting annoyed at us taking pictures, and it was still there. Mm-hmm. So we said, "Well, we've done everything we're supposed to do." So we came to the conclusion that it really is spirit energy in that picture.
And I wouldn't be surprised because her place is crazy
I-
activity.
It's crazy haunted, my place.
I would try
Especially
again.
that time
Pick
portal.
another day and try
Yes,
again in the
Linda,
same
especially
spot.
that time portal.
Pick another day and try again in the same spot with the
We
cat
did.
there and
We
take him
did.
again.
We did the very next day.
Did you?
Yeah. See, there's
But
one
keep
thing I
trying
learned.
it
And that's
occasionally.
one
You
thing
never
I did
know.
learn, being a paranormal investigator, is to try every single kind of thing you can possibly
And the
do.
most important thing I learned that I was told is always take 3 in a row
That's what I tell. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, always,
Yeah.
always.
yeah.
Because that way you have a
Yeah.
control shot before and
Right.
after whatever your shot will
Absolutely.
be. You're going to have shots that are before and after.
Absolutely.
That's
Well, I'm teaching
At
Verna
least
that.
3. 5 is great. 3, if you're investigating, obviously.
Snap, snap.
we
snap
did
as
it
many
all.
times.
We did everything we were supposed to do, and it still turned up. And I should say that I've lived in that place for years. I've taken pictures
She's
of my
21 years since my son
21
been
years in
born.
that place.
Nice.
I've taken pictures of my
Her rent
cats.
is like $4. She
Well.
wishes, probably.
Well,
Right.
but I've taken pictures of my cat and my past cats on that shelf because cats love that shelf for some reason.
Because she has the radiator in the bottom.
That's
right,
why.
so the cats like it because it's warm down there. It's warm over there. And I've never seen anything like that in the photo.
Yep.
All right.
So
Very
She's
cool.
got
there it
spooks
is.
in her house.
Take a look
Yeah.
at those photos. She posted them on the Facebook page for Ecto Portal. Check them
Yep.
out. Let us know your comments.
Yeah,
Take-
we
what
like
do you
to
Yeah,
think?
we'd
your
like to hear
opinion.
it.
Maybe you have some ideas, of things they could have tried or should have tried, or
Right, and if it doesn't look real to somebody, I'm not afraid
Or
for
if
you
you
to
could
tell me.
explain it to
Just tell
us.
me. Yeah, tell me what you think it is. Yeah.
it's even better. All right, we now need to go into our first music break, but before, we're going to introduce what our show topic is tonight, which is the true American horror story, Roanoke. Now, of course, the obviously reason behind this show is the recent season that just ended of American Horror Story. Used the true factual story of the Roanoke Lost Colony as part of their storyline in the season. Now, in the show, they used a very limited amount of fact.
Very
And a
limited.
heaping, helping barrel of fiction. But,
Helping barrel of fiction?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Yeah,
my
you have to see
description.
the show.
But that they do use a few kernels of fact. So we're going to go into tonight the true Roanoke story, and we're going to go back and trace the lost colony, discuss what might have happened, and some of the interesting things that have developed over the years since that happened. And we'll be right back with the true American horror story, Roanoke, right after this.
I am the butcher.
Talk to you guys later.
The story of Roanoke is really one of the first great mysteries in American history. This was England's first attempt to establish a permanent settlement in the New World. So a motivated group sets out in 1587 and establishes this permanent village on the island of Roanoke, just off the coast of Virginia. It was supposed to be resupplied every year, but the English, they get distracted because they're fighting this war with Spain. By the time the supply ships finally return, almost 3 years later, the colony has completely vanished. All they find are the bones of one man and this word, Croatoan, carved on a post left in the encampment. Well, this has turned into one of these mythical legends of American history. No one knows what this word means. No one knows what happened to these guys. And everyone has had a hypothesis. Now, some believe they were captured by hostile Spanish coming up from the south. Some say that they assimilated into the native population. Some say that, with no supply efforts, these guys built this boat and headed off back to England, but were lost at sea. But of course, there's no proof of any of this. Now, what seems more likelier is that when this supply ship returned, all they found were corpses. And now the financiers have a problem. They need the colonists to make these colonies profitable. But who's going to go to America if it means certain death? So instead of reporting what they find, they cover it up. They let the rumors swirl around, and they obscure what really happened. As a result, settlers will see America as worth the risk. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened, as England was able to finance a second colonization effort in 1607 with the founding of Jamestown.
So there are a ton of theories as to what could have happened to these people, and no one still knows what the answer is. Some people think that maybe they got wiped out by a plague, and maybe that the Native Americans came in and took down the settlement to use it for supplies and be able to reuse it later on. Some people do believe that they integrated with the Croatoan tribe. but there's still no evidence.
Welcome back to Ecto Portal. And tonight's topic, of course, is True American Horror Story, Roanoke. We're actually going to discuss the real story of Roanoke and the Lost Colony. Things the show didn't really go into in much detail. In fact, I think I could probably tell you in 2 seconds what the show used for American Horror Story. There was a lost colony of Roanoke, and when the ship came back to look for them, carved on a post of the deserted fort, which was untouched, there was the word Croatoan carved into the wood. That's it. That's all the TV show used. They had the Lost Colony settlers were basically ghosts in the show.
Yep.
And they had to have a sacrifice on the land. I don't know how often. Every blood moon.
It was like every blood moon around October. It was like 3 days of the blood moon.
Yeah.
And that's when the murder started.
And they had to have a sacrifice she said to keep the land, to keep peace with the land.
Yeah.
It was her land and her colony's land.
Right.
And they would stop at nothing. So they actually worked with a local band of hillbillies for generations to actually help lure people to kill them as a sacrifice to the blood moon.
She also made a deal with the priestess and the forest.
Yeah, that was Lady Gaga.
Gaga,
I'm not really sure still how that tied in.
I don't understand that either, but I think she gave her power to...
Lady Gaga needs more power.
I know, but she kind of like helped her out to show her and blah, blah, blah. And
Okay.
It was a weird story.
But that's all the TV show really used from that was factual. The rest was all the ghosts and sacrifices and the blood moon.
And don't forget the pigs.
And the pigs. And when you see
So they
it,
left
you'll
a
know.
lot of history and a lot of facts out. They just kind of used part of it.
Exactly.
And then the
lady was a butcher.
They wrote in their own storylines for
But
it.
the show kind of does that. I mean, Hotel.
Oh.
It's about 2 or 3 seasons ago. They used the H.H. Holmes story, who was a serial killer in Chicago during the
Right.
World's Fair in the late 1800s. They used that storyline. They wove it in. So the show kind of takes factual things, and then they run with it. They do their own deal. Madame LaLaurie story in the Voodoo season, Coven.
Right.
They used that whole Madame LaLaurie story with her slaves and being driven
was
out of
true.
New Orleans. That was true. But then they went off on their big barrel of big far-fetched fictional.
It was just a lot of slashing guts and more slashing and guts.
If
And
you're a
that's what
history
American Horror
fan,
Story is
you may
about.
not love American Horror Story. But if you love horror movies and paranormal and supernatural, you'll probably love
Linda
the show.
showed me a few episodes, and I was okay with it.
I think it
When
wasn't
we
it-
show you the Coven.
I wasn't big on it, but I thought, oh, yeah, this is fun. Okay.
my problem with the show is 3/4 way through every season, it seems to fall apart. Like they don't know what to do.
Right.
In fact, this season, they did the first 5 episodes, half the season practically, they did it like a paranormal
I know.
docudrama, where they had one cast being interviewed, the real people, supposedly.
Sarah Paulson started out in the interview.
No, she was the recreation.
Yeah.
So they had a cast that did the recreation, and they had a cast of the real people who were the real people who experienced this nightmare of Roanoke, living in this new house. This couple moved in. They experienced the colony come to get a sacrifice.
Interracial couple.
Interracial couple. Her sister comes. The daughter disappears as a sacrifice. And then they do this recreation where the whole first 5 episodes is a recreation paranormal show.
Absolutely.
Like My Ghost Story or
it turned
A
out it was
Haunting.
kind of like it turned out a recreation, and then they wanted to make it into a reality show to bring the actors and the people who lived in the house together in the show.
Oh, that's later. I'm talking
That's
about the
later.
first 5.
Oh, the first 5, yeah.
Yeah, halfway through the season, then it turns it completely on edge. We come back, and this production company that produced that paranormal recreation show now wants to do a reality show and put all the real people who experienced the nightmare and the actors who played them into a house together and see what happens. Hilarity ensues.
Yeah.
Of course,
It happened right in the blood moon.
The blood moon, and they did that on purpose for ratings in the show. Of course, you know, if you've seen the show, and I hope you've seen the show by now, because you wouldn't be listening to this now, I would hope. If you haven't, I'm going to give it away, so you might want to like listen to this later after you've watched it. This is your spoiler alert, so please turn off now, come back later. Okay, I'm going to wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you've turned it off now. So everyone gets slaughtered. The colony comes back for another sacrifice. The real butcher comes to kill Kathy Bates. Everybody gets killed except for one person. Now that person, they spin it again on its edge. They're thinking everybody's dead. What else could they do in this show? They do. They take that one person and they make it like an O.J. Simpson style, where that person is now on trial, and she knows what happened. She says she was possessed by these evil spirits of the colony. Go figure. So, and it actually, I thought the ending was pretty cool. I'm not going to give away the very ending.
It was, I think the ending was pretty cool. It
involves a ghost.
It involves a ghost.
Sacrifice,
and peace.
Yeah. So watch the ending, but it's cool. But that's pretty much what they did with Roanoke. So, a pinch of history, a handful of fiction.
Well, we'll see what happens next year and see what they come up with.
We'll have to find out what their historical thing is and do another one and dig into it. So we're going to go behind the scenes of Roanoke, the real story. All right. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to kind of go through this really quickly, and then we'll get to the theories, and then we can discuss the theories and what we think is plausible.
Okay.
So April 1584, Sir Walter Raleigh was sent by Queen Elizabeth an expedition to explore the eastern coast of North America. In July 1584, he arrives on Roanoke Island and establishes relations with local natives of the Secotans and the Croatoans. He returned to England with 2 of the Croatoan Indians to describe local tribe politics and geography. So they were friendly enough that 2 of them agreed to go back to England.
Right.
So that tells you they were really friendly from the get-go.
One of the things about Walter Raleigh that Queen Elizabeth relied on was that he was very much an experienced seaman, and he was very worldly compared to her. See, Elizabeth never traveled, and the Tudor court never really explored the wide world.
Did they want? I would imagine they wouldn't want them to travel that far, right? For fear of getting lost.
The Tudor court never traveled, never were big on being explorers or travelers before Elizabeth. Now, I know a lot of Tudor freaks will probably disagree with me, but Elizabeth didn't travel much, and her father Henry, the furthest he traveled was to France when they went to war, and that was as far as he went. But they kept most of their interests to their islands, with the idea that they were looking out for their interests and looking out to see what Europe was doing, make sure that Europe wasn't going to war with them, or to see what was going on in the arts and things like that, and religious interests, but not exploring. So Elizabeth needed somebody experienced to go out and tell her what was going on, somebody she could really trust. And
I know she did trust him a lot.
She trusted Raleigh a lot, and Raleigh was trusted, and he was very loyal, and plus he was very worldly, and she was very impressed with him. So that's why Raleigh made a big difference to what England and what England accomplished with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only that, Sir Francis Drake was also.
Yeah, Sir Francis Drake.
He came all the way here to the Bay Area.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
And discovered. Well, actually, the Spanish was there before the Spanish already took over California, but Drake came over there and kind of kicked their butts a little bit.
Yeah, Drake was another one who.
But they brought back a lot of stuff from the New World to Elizabeth.
Yeah,
like tobacco and
corn. But I know I read that Queen Elizabeth knew she was taking a gamble by sending him to North America.
Definitely,
because it could. I mean, everything she sent could have been lost, gone.
Right.
He could have been
Travel
lost.
was perilous back then. I mean,
So
you took chances.
It was a risk. So after he came back with the 2 Croatoans, the 2 Indians, talked about the politics of the local tribes in the area, in North America and of the warring nations and the geography. They had really good geography with the local tribes. So they thought, you know what, let's send another expedition. And in July of 1587, Walter Raleigh dispatched 115 colonists. This is the biggest so far. The others were a little smaller, maybe 7 to 10 men and women.
And children.
Yeah, and this is a big one. This is 115 colonists to establish a new colony on Chesapeake Bay. Now, Raleigh didn't go with them. They were led by Governor John White.
John White. Mm-hmm.
They arrived on July 22nd, 1587, and they found Chesapeake Bay colony completely empty. Nothing remained of the English garrison. They decided to instead establish a new colony on Roanoke Island. And while they returned to England, leaving them behind, so they could go get more supplies, because they didn't have a lot of supplies.
No, they didn't.
And they didn't really know what to do. They didn't know if hunting was going to work out, if the Indians were going to be hostile.
Well, they already lost a person when they were on the island by an Indian.
Right. So John White left behind his daughter and his granddaughter, who was the first English-born child in America, Virginia Dare.
Virginia Dare, yeah.
And they left him with the colony, and he said, I'll be back as soon as I can. I'm going to bring supplies. No problem. He returns to England in the fall of 1587, and due to a war with Spain, his ship and all others were commandeered for use by the Queen, and she refused to let him return to the colony with supplies, even with one ship. So they were stuck in the war for 3 years, and after 3 years, he finally comes back in August of 1580. And he comes back on Roanoke Island to find the colony deserted, and his men couldn't find any trace of the 90 men, 17 women, and 11 children. No struggle, no battle. The only clue was the word Croatoan carved into a post on the fence around the village. All the houses and fortifications had been dismantled, which meant that their departure had not been hurried, so it was an attack maybe. Before they left the colony, White instructed them that if anything happened to them, they should carve a Maltese cross on a nearby tree, indicating their absence had been forced. Now, there was no cross, and White took this meaning that they moved on to Croatoan Island, which is now Hatteras Island. But he was unable to conduct a search. A massive storm was forming, and he refused to go any further, and then he left. The end of 1587, the colony is unrecorded, and the colony has been referred to as the Lost Colony, with different theories as to the fate of the colonists. Now, let's discuss what we think it could be, and I can go through some of these if you want to discuss. Now, there's so many theories, and today they're still disputed. They're all disputed. They're trying to find evidence here, there. Some people think they were attacked. This is an interesting theory I didn't know about. Pocahontas' father, Chief Powhatan, was a pretty powerful chief. He controlled other tribes. He had a warring nation of Indian tribes. So they say, and he actually claimed to have wiped them out, that he attacked and wiped out the colony. They got other word later on from John Smith in his journals that may not have been true. The other Indians in the area claimed.
Why would he claim that? And why would he claim that with his power and with why would he claim that if it's not?
Well, if a white man's asking you, did you wipe out our early colony that was here? Of course, if you're an Indian tribe, of course we wiped them out. No problem. You want to show your power as a tribe.
That would make sense.
You don't want the white man coming and take it over. So I'll be like, of course we wiped them out. We're a warring nation. I'm Chief Powhatan. But that was, again, other Indians in the area said, no, that's not true. They remember seeing some white settlers in other tribes around the area. So then that's the other theory. Did they assimilate with other tribes, the Croatoan Indians, just the Chesapeake Indians, just different tribes in the area that maybe they split up?
And it could be probably because of the harsh winters.
Well, and this was
the starvation,
and even
this was the biggest drought.
Harsh weather.
But this was the biggest drought in 100 years.
Right.
200 years, I guess. So, and that was that particular year that there was like water was scarce, fresh water. So you have disease.
I heard smallpox.
I'm sure coming from Europe.
Yeah.
So if they got sick, there's no medicine. There's very little fresh water. You'd have to find it. So, and again, attack of Indians, you'd be afraid you got attacked. If you did get attacked,
But it was
Yeah.
easy to disappear back then because you think of the way America was back then. It was a big wilderness. It was easy to disappear and assimilate somewhere else without anybody finding out. I mean, back then it was easier to do than it is now.
yes and no, because they couldn't travel as far as fast.
Well, that's true, but
And I know Roanoke is a small island. It's a pretty tiny island.
Yeah, it's a tiny
Yeah.
island.
It's like a sliver. So to go 50 miles, if you're going 50 miles on foot, because you're not going to have a lot of horses or cat, you're not going to have a lot of livestock. You're going to have to either the Indians took you by boat or you walked along the land. I mean, they had to cross water to get to where they needed
That's
to go if they went 50 miles inland.
And you can, and think about it. Also, most of these people probably that came on the island were probably they're inexperienced people. They only know what they know.
right.
They probably maybe have some shopkeepers.
And their supplies could only
and-
last for so long, too.
No, well, I'm just talking about, maybe they had maybe one silversmith or maybe a carpenter or something. You're just bringing a bunch of inexperienced people
Well,
that
they-
has never done this.
But they were
before.
trained to build the fortress. They were
They were
basically
trained.
trained, but not for
But
the new
not
wilderness,
for
not for
wilderness,
hostile
not for
Indians,
that.
not for.
Yeah.
They were promised. I forgot what it was, like 500 acres each,
Right.
in the New World if they went in in one of the colonists. So I
Right.
thought that was an interesting offer. And we will be right back on Ecto Portal. True American Horror Story, Roanoke on Ecto Portal.
In 1937, a man named Ellie Hammond is taking a walk through the woods of North Carolina when he stumbles upon this rock.
The stone has an inscription on it. It reads, Ananias Dare and Virginia Dare went hence into heaven 1591.
It seems that this is a record of the death of Governor John White's son-in-law, Ananias, and his granddaughter, Virginia. When Hammond examines the backside of the stone, he finds another etching, but the remaining words are almost illegible. So he takes it to Dr. Hayward Pierce Jr., Vice President of Grinnell University, who arranges for a team of specialists to perform a careful analysis. According to a group of experts, the message, scripted in 16th century Elizabethan English, tells a dark tale of how most of the colonists of Roanoke Island were killed in an attack by a native tribe. And there's one more detail that seems to confirm the stone's authenticity.
Engraved at the bottom of the stone were the initials E.W.D.
The initials match those of John White's own daughter, Eleanor White Dare.
Welcome back from the portal. Now we're going to go back to our True American Horror Story, Roanoke, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the theories. Now, I mentioned before about one of the ways the scientists knew that the colonists were there during one of the biggest droughts in 200 years was they took a core sample from the 800-year-old cypress trees. They actually have to crawl up the tree. And they can't even do it with an electronic drill, which I thought was interesting. They actually have a drill you have to turn by hand. Mm-hmm. And you're basically funneling in this tube into the tree with a sharp end. Mm-hmm. And then once it's in, then you put in the long stick, almost like a dipstick for an oil. Mm-hmm. And then they slowly pull the core sample out. Mm-hmm. And it's really long, goes all the way through the tree. And you can see all the rings of every year that the tree was alive. And they look back and they said, like I said, the darker ones were the wetter seasons and the lighter ones were the drier seasons. Mm-hmm. And the driest season was the season that the colonists were actually there. So they think a drought might have, like I said, we mentioned that before. Mm-hmm. And they're doing excavations on Hatteras Island. There's another special that I think Expedition, I forget the other name of it. It's with Josh Gates. It's a new show that he's doing. Expedition Unknown. He actually went to Hatteras Island with one of the rangers, and he literally stood in the muddy water in their ankles, scooped up mud, and they found pottery pieces from the colonists just by one scoop. He said there's so much here that's why they think maybe they mingled with the Hatteras Indians. They either lived with them or maybe they traded with them, and that's why the Indians had them. Because there's special glazes, I guess, on pottery from Europe that you can only find in Europe, and the colonists brought it with them. And you got to wonder, the Indians tribes like to trade a lot. So who's to say that the colonists didn't trade and then those Indians traded with someone else? Right. So when these pieces move around at different areas, that doesn't necessarily 100% mean the colonists are going to be with them or died there or lived there. So they did another excavation the further inland, and in fact there's a map. They just recently discovered a patch over the top of it. We mentioned it earlier. That it looks like Walter Raleigh could have, or John White, Governor John White, could have made the patch because they're either going to build a fort there, or they didn't want Spain to know that, let's build a fort here, and maybe that's where the colonists ended up, or part of them. They're doing excavation, and they're finding pottery. They actually are digging up a garbage chute of what the Indians ate. So they're finding, like they said, the food was plentiful. So if the colonists did live with the Indians, they probably did survive. They lived pretty good. They had game on the island. They had lots of fish because of the water.
Right.
So, I mean, it's interesting what they're finding. They're still digging up more.
They're still digging, yeah.
So who knows what they'll find. So, science is still prevailing here. And you said you found something about the DNA. I was interested about that. I had not heard about that.
Yeah, there's actually a DNA project going on. It's called the Lost Colony Center for DNA and Research. You go to lostcolony.com, and the article mentions, here's how the article reads. They say, are you one of the lost colonists? Could you be the key to unraveling the greatest mystery in America today? Find out by using a combination of DNA testing and genealogy. So they said if your family descends from the Eastern Carolina area, if your family has an oral tradition of Lumbee or other Native American ancestry from the Eastern United States, or if your family includes one of our most wanted surnames, join the Lost Colony DNA Project with Family Tree DNA. And then they have a link there to click for the list of surnames. And they said the families of interest include the surnames of the colonists and families associated through historical documents with local Native American heritage. So they're trying to actually get people to donate their DNA so that they can trace the history. And it's I think it's a great project, and it's a great way of finding out what could have happened and where these people could have assimilated. So yeah. Is it a website, an actual website they can check out? Yes, the website is called lost-colony.com. All right, so you may want to check if you live down that area. You know all about the Lost Colony, I'm sure. That's part of your heritage. I'm sure growing up you had field trips to some of these areas that we've talked about tonight. Who knows? If you have Native American heritage and maybe a surname, you may be related to one of the lost colonists. Yeah, we have a relative over there, don't we, Linda?
In North Carolina?
Yeah, we do.
Do they have one of the surnames?
No. All I know,
but you never know.
We don't know. I didn't click on the surname, so I'll click on that.
I know he's Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck, okay. Is there an Uncle Buck on the listed colonists?
No.
Yes, there is. There is.
What's his last name, though?
Well, you said Buck. So Buck is a last name that is one of the lost colonists.
Is his name Buck as in Uncle Buck, or is his name Uncle's his first name and Buck is his last name? What is his last name, Linda?
Because I know who Uncle Buck is, but
this is cousin Alan's.
Right.
Sounds like a nickname to
his
me.
sister's husband.
Yeah,
and
I forgot his name.
I thought his last name was Buck.
Okay, you guys should probably look it up.
We'll look it up. But if it is Buck, that is one of the surnames.
As far as we know, we come from 11 generation of Americans that came. I mean, we're like patriots and revolution and everything. The first people that came here was two brothers, and our last name originally was Payne. The two brothers from Scotland.
Thomas Payne?
Was it John Payne, Bruno, or
that came from grandmother's side.
Oh, that's
from
grandma's
father's side, it was Grove.
Grove, right.
Yeah.
Thomas Grove was our great
No, Captain John Grove
Captain John Grove
was our
sorry.
great grandfather, and he was a survivor of Valley Forge. But we'll get into that another time.
But grandma's side.
Okay, let's go back to the show.
Yeah.
Okay, forget it.
Right. We'll discuss this another
We'll
time.
discuss this another time. Right.
So another interesting story, which is really, I think, almost more fascinating than the Lost Colony, is the story of the Dare Stones. And by Dare Stones, they're called Dare Stones because, or they said 1937, a tourist found a stone in this nearby area that actually had an inscription written on it, carved on it, in the actual stone that said, Ananias Dare, Virginia went hence, unto heaven in 1591, and ye Englishmen shew, an Englishman show John White governor. So this is one of the stones he found. They actually took it to a local university, and the man sold it. And that school actually still owns it to this day.
This is in Georgia, right?
Roanoke. This is in, the Roanoke University actually owns that first stone.
Is there a picture of it?
Yeah.
I do have a picture of it. Let me show it to you.
Okay.
I actually posted
I wanna
this on the
see it.
Facebook page earlier today. You can actually see the first stones.
Okay.
There's the first
I
side.
do see it. Yeah.
That's Ananias.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
And then it tells you what happened to the rest of the colonists. E.W. Eleanor Dare. But she claims that, Ananias, her husband, died. Virginia died, her daughter. So it just goes into detail about the death. Now, the crazy thing is, the university saw this. I guess someone from the Smithsonian came and examined it, and they thought it was pretty credible. And I don't know why you would do this, but she has some mention of another stone. Oh, she claims that 17 more colonists died, and there was another stone where she listed their graves. She says, and a marker was left with their names.
So this guy thought it was credible, the guy from the Smithsonian.
So, but she mentions this 17 other people with another marker she made. Well, that means there's another stone
somewhere.
So the Smithsonian said, for $500, anybody who finds this other second stone, we'll give you $500. Well, they were inundated with stones. The first guy that turned up said, I have that second stone. And I think he said, I have 13 others. So he had all these other stones, and none of the others matched the first stone at all. They were carved differently. They were a little too perfect. The
I believe
spelling
it.
of the names was wrong. The way the language, as I just said, Virginia went hence unto heaven, that stuff wasn't the same. So whoever it is, it wasn't very familiar with the way the language was written back then. So at first they were intrigued by them. They thought, wow, but they were found, like Linda said, pretty far away. Someone said, oh, somebody else found them and transported them, and then they gave them to them.
Well, actually, I think some of the stones were found in a college or something like that.
No, that's not where they found them. I'm saying the guy obtained them, brought them to the college.
Brought them to him, yeah.
But this is what I was saying, is the Smithsonian saw them all, and they said, you know what? After seeing them all, we think they're all fakes. We think they're all forgeries. You know what the college did? This is crazy. And in that In Search Of episode from the 70s, they threw them all in the basement of the college. They actually show a shot in the basement of all the stones sitting.
But you
in
would
the
have thought if
basement.
they were fake, they would have just thrown them away.
They're not sure 100%.
Well, they're not sure about that.
So you know
okay.
what? Throw them in the basement. Who cares?
Right.
But they kept
Okay.
that one out because they still thought that was authentic, the first one.
Yeah.
And then In Search Of shows the other stones. Now today I was reading up on. I wanted to find out where are they today.
Right.
Turns out they're in a private collection. They are brought out occasionally on display for like historians and scholars who want to do work on the colony. So they look at them, they want to see and examine them to see what they look. They pull them out for that reason, or private showings, but they don't just leave them out.
Right.
But they don't just leave them down in the basement. They sat in the basement for 40 years.
40 years.
Before they finally said, maybe we should put these somewhere.
Maybe we should relook at these.
Whether they're fake or not, it's history.
Yeah.
And it's also now part of the lore. These Dare stones, these Eleanor Dare stones.
See, they were offering a reward if you can find authentic stone for $500 at the time.
So they were inundated.
So
That's
people
what they
were
had.
just
And of course, they had
trying-
to really prove it was,
Yeah, and none of them matched except
No.
that first stone. So what it tells you is that second stone is still missing.
Wow.
That grave marker for the 17 other colonists is
let's
somewhere.
look for it.
Yeah, let's leave now. That's
Let's
our
look for it.
investigation.
Pack up and go.
And then once we find the graver, we know it's a grave marker, so we can do an
Right.
investigation in an EVP session. We'll be right back.
Eleanor references a second stone, a tombstone where she buried her husband and daughter 4 miles east of here. We don't have to dig here to prove that the stone is real. We need to find the second stone.
They probably thought if another stone is to come forward, the proof would be right there. If we find that second stone, we're going to find the bodies too. It would be instantly corroborated. Instantly corroborated.
It was the search for this gravestone, or second stone, that would lead to national headlines and ultimately a national scandal.
3 years later, White finally returned to Roanoke. There was no sign of the settlers. Even their houses were gone. The word Croatoan was carved on an old gatepost of a ruined fort. White thought that the settlers had moved to the nearby island of Croatoan. Before he could search the island, the weather turned bad, so he could not search the area. No one ever found out what happened to the settlers.
How do you know about the show?
We're part of the United States. We get TV.
Next Wednesday.
If we want to live, we have to stick together.
You're gonna be filming when I catch you.
Don't do this. We're gonna die in here.
Shall we stick with me?
Shut your mouth!
Why are you doing this?
What's wrong? I thought she'd like to have your picture too.
I see dead people.
And we are back. So we've talked about the lost colony. We've talked about some of the theories of what might have happened to them. Illness, assimilation with other Indian tribes, the Spanish wiping them out because they wiped out earlier colonists that came to the New World. Separation, drought. There's just so many factors that kind of tie into the whole real story of Roanoke. So you can see why the TV show would say, hey, the colony was vanished. Nobody knows what happened. Croatoan is carved into the tree. What a great concept. We can fill in the rest. Mm-hmm. Thus, the colonists all died. They became a ghost colony,
Right.
for lack of a better term. And, of course, the butcher, played by Kathy Bates,
The butcher.
of course, is fictional. It's not in the real story.
No.
But I don't know. Maybe she's supposed to be Eleanor Dare. Maybe that's who that's supposed to be. We don't know.
Well,
There was another-
She had a son.
Well, not with her. No, there was the husband. Artemis was the husband. She only had the daughter. That's all she had that I know
Okay,
of.
yeah, because because they were waiting for that ship to come back.
Right, exactly.
you know.
And there was another movie they made. The Sci-Fi Channel made it about 5 years ago. I mean, the Sci-Fi Channel. Why would the Sci-Fi Channel make a movie about the Lost Colony? But they did. It's apparently called The Lost Colony. Wow. Starring Adrian Paul from the Highlander TV series. Mm-hmm. I read reviews. They said it's abysmal, like most Sci-Fi Channel movies. They said the special effects were terrible. It was cheap. And someone else went, wow, cool, it's a Roanoke movie. And then someone else is like, my God, I wasted my life on this hour and a half. So if you want to check that out, that's out there. I'm surprised nobody's made a new movie about the colony, because you could pretty much do a historical
Or even a recent
recreation.
documentary.
Well, they've done that. I mean, Mystery of the Museum did one, Expedition
Oh, really?
Unknown.
Okay.
But you'd think someone would do a drama based on even a miniseries about Raleigh taking
Drama
the
would be
colony
good on
over,
this.
disappearing, coming back. You can make up whatever you want on what
you know,
happened to him. Use
like
the theories.
You know, like the History Channel and Discovery Channel now are doing, like, you know, how they did about the Vikings, you know, a series.
Yeah.
You know,
Or Stars
and-
could have it as a historical series.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so popular right now to do historical drama. So I'm
Absolutely.
surprised nobody's latched on. I know that I was reading that the guy who found the original stone, and then in the later stones, the one who found the 46 later stones, the
Right.
fake ones, was actually in communications with Cecil B. DeMille because he wanted to do a movie about the whole Stones saga.
Oh, wow.
So not really focus on the colony, just focus on the history of all these stones, and you know.
And they should, because that can tell you a lot. If they really focus and they find something, it could tell you a lot.
I know it won't be Cecil B. DeMille because he's
I
been
know,
dead for
he's
quite a
dead
while.
for a long time.
I thought that was interesting that he was going to do that. right?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
There's someone who loves historical drama, Ten Commandments,
Right.
I love stuff like that. Anyhow, I love
exactly
shows like that.
So obviously he was intrigued as well by the history, but I'm surprised. I mean, even the Stones would make an interesting movie. About
Oh, you
Just
never
that
know.
subject
Maybe
alone.
Yeah.
American Horror Story probably will kick that, you know, have somebody
might
go, you know,
expand
maybe
it.
we'll do a show about that history, about Roanoke.
They tend to not go backwards.
I know.
They carry their characters over sometimes, but they never seem to go backwards as far as storyline goes.
Oh, I'm not talking about American Horror Story. I'm sure.
You just
I'm
did.
hoping. No, I mean when
I was
I'm
confused.
trying to say, I hope that they influence somebody else to do a
Oh,
documentary
yeah.
or something.
Oh, right.
Like,
subject
you know
matter.
what
Yeah.
really happened.
I would like to see a
Inspire
movie,
somebody
Right.
to do it.
and not
yeah.
a bad Sci-Fi Channel movie either.
Oh well,
I mean,
you never know with sci-fi.
I have a sick kind of like roadside accident urge to see it,
Mm-hmm.
to see if it might be. I'm afraid I'm gonna watch it and be really disappointed that I even tried. But you know,
I think Kevin Bacon will be really good in this.
Kevin Bacon.
Now, why Kevin Bacon out of all people, Linda?
Yeah, please tell us.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, there has to be
you
a
could have
secret
thought somebody
reason.
else. I mean,
I like Kevin Bacon.
oh well.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know who I would cast.
Well, I'm going to agree. From
Kevin Bacon. In which part?
Yeah, which part?
Oh, a long story. I won't talk about.
Governor John White, who's probably in his 50s
Yeah.
or early 60s.
Well, yeah.
Well, I
You know.
guarantee you John White did not look like Kevin Bacon.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
Raleigh would. We would have to get an Englishman to play Raleigh.
Well, there's plenty of those right now.
Oh,
There
there's
is.
I know.
everybody. I mean,
I know, but I mean one who really personifies
Who
that.
could play Raleigh?
Raleigh.
I don't know.
Did you ever see the Virgin Queen, the Masterpiece Theater version? The Virgin Queen? The guy who played Raleigh did a really good job.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought he did. Well,
So
anyway,
we'll be
we're
holding
back to
cast
the subject.
open auditions on Ecto Portal next week for the new Lost Colony film that we're going to make.
Right.
And you must
We're
learn
gonna
how
shoot
to
it
sing
in
and
cast.
dance.
We're shooting it in the
Open casting.
in East Bay.
Yes.
Maybe the Mission, depends on how our budget goes. So look for the notices for that, and you can get a part.
You never know. We'll make you into a star.
That's right.
The star of our making.
That's right. That's right. In our new studio, like Hammer. This is gonna. We're gonna call it Nailed. We're gonna nail every one of these films
No.
into a coffin and bury it.
Why not?
I don't know. I'd give it a different name than Lost Colony, though. Maybe something more with more pep, more now. Give Raleigh a man bun.
I'm sorry. I'm cracking up again. Well, you can name
Adam Levine. He could be
Never mind.
Governor John White.
Nice. Yeah.
Adam Levine.
You would, of course, cast people who would never look like that.
Right.
People who weren't
They have to
fed
look
well, like
good-looking.
the real pictures you see back then.
Right.
All they ate
Johnny
was the
Depp.
butter, the fat. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp would.
He wouldn't be bad for that. I mean, he
could
played
play
a
an
lot of those
Indian.
roles where
No, I think he'd be interesting.
He was so
as
good in
Raleigh.
Tano.
Yeah,
He's old
I can
enough.
kind of see it. Yeah.
He may have to eat a little bit. Go to stop off at Carl Jr.'s or something on the way. Get off the ship. Stop off at Carl Jr.'s.
Carlos Jr.
Pack up on some burgers and
Can you
get
imagine
back.
if he's listening to this?
That'd be great.
So
Well,
got a
he'd be
part
in
for
North
you.
Carolina.
So-
I got a hanker for some pulled pork.
So Johnny Depp, we're shooting in the Mission, our new Lost Colony movie, because we lost our budget for the East Bay. Maybe on Alcatraz. Maybe I could talk to someone. That'll be
There you go.
that'll be like Roanoke, but it's also Alcatraz. We'll just shoot it on the side of the island that you can't see the prison,
Oh boy.
and we'll rope all the tourists who are on the boat to be part of the Lost Colony.
I know there goes.
Wow, this is really low budget, isn't it?
Oh, it's no budget there.
No budget. Be all taken by the iPhone.
Yeah, and then we'll just say, "Quick, you're lost. Now move around to the other side of the island."
We can get all of our friends to be extras.
Exactly.
Hey, I'll play the butcher.
Cue the
I am
Coast
the
Guard.
butcher.
Who's going to play Little
Running
Virginia
around with
Dare?
her.
Oh, Virginia Dare? I don't know. You could play her, I guess.
I'm too big to be Virginia Dare. She was a little kid,
You can
a little
kneel down
baby.
on your shoes and wear a dress. No one will know.
Gee, I really look that young, huh?
Maybe. With our lighting.
Well, I want to wheel around. I want to run around with a butcher knife.
Oh, you want to be the butcher? Well,
This is going to be one weird film.
and then the Coast Guard will come in with Johnny Depp as Walter Raleigh to find everyone's gone. We'll have to build a fort, but maybe, some of the eucalyptus trees fall down on Alcatraz. Maybe we could build a pretend fort, and I could, staple a piece of paper that says Croatoan to one of the eucalyptus trees.
You never know. Some producer or some director is probably listening to this show thinking, these people don't have bad ideas.
See, I'm telling you right now, it's already better than the Sci-Fi Channel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, why not?
It's contemporary.
We could do it for the Travel Channel.
Johnny has a man bun.
Johnny
We have Carl's Jr.'s our sponsor.
Eating some fries.
Carl's Jr.'s for a sponsor, huh?
That's right. It'll be on the side of the ship. Gotta fatten him up if he's going to be Walter Raleigh.
Everybody's going to watch this. You know it.
They have to.
Of course.
People are going to be, where can I audition?
All of our friends are going to be watching it.
Yay.
We'll be the biggest hot mess on TV.
Hot mess is right.
So
Okay, back to the subject.
Back to the
discussing
subject.
history.
That
We've already
pretty much
discussed our little
Well, I
film
think we covered
project.
everything we
did.
could probably cover.
We actually have to
on Roanoke,
discuss next week. Do you remember what our subject is for next week?
Do you remember?
I do remember. It's
we
going to be
have a
Ghosts
guest.
of San Francisco.
Uh-oh. They're looking at
No,
each
I
other.
think you're right,
smiling.
actually. I think you're right.
I thought it was going to be Ghosts of San Francisco.
Ghosts of San Francisco.
Next week.
I thought that was a great topic. Everyone said, how about Ghosts of San Francisco? I'm like, that's an amazing idea. Why haven't we done that yet?
Well, because...
So we're going to talk about the ghost stories locally here in San Francisco.
And we're probably going to discuss Bay Area ghosts too, but we're going to concentrate San Francisco and maybe extend some famous Bay Area ghosts. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that sounds pretty dandy. I can get into
Absolutely.
that.
So that'll be fun.
Ghosts
Bring it
from
back
our
local
hometown.
again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about, and I have some stuff to dig up, some local stuff that I can dig up.
yeah.
And of course, we can talk about the San Remo a little bit.
Right.
San Remo and a little bit of the Queen Anne.
Stowe Lake. I mean, there's enough local.
Oh, there's tons. Oh my God, this whole city is spooked.
It is, but
Right.
they won't
We could
open their
talk about
doors.
personal
Spooky
stories
city.
as well as famous legends that have been recounted from before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh boy, it's
So
gonna
you'll
be
definitely want to
fun.
tune into that Ghosts of San Francisco and
Definitely.
Ecto Portal next week. All right, so I guess we're going to sign off now on True American Horror Story Roanoke. If you haven't seen the show, check it out. Just remember, you've learned more tonight than you'll ever see in the entire season. of American
And
Horror Story.
also, we'd like to
Absolutely.
hear your views, and we'd like to hear any questions or anything that we don't know that we didn't cover about this. We are open to listening to the listeners' comments
Just
and
post your comments on our page.
post it on the page.
The Facebook page,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your
Or message
comments.
us privately, and we'll post the comments.
Maybe you want to be in our film. I don't know. It's possible.
You never know.
Yeah.
All right,
Johnny
everybody.
Depp, if you're listening, I'm willing to audition you
Okay, everybody.
privately.
So, signing off on Ecto Portal. We'll see you next week when we go back into the portal say goodnight.
Good night. See you next week.
Sleep soundly.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden. Be sure to visit us at www.ectoportal.com. Check out our archives on YouTube and head on over for new episodes to ectoportal.podbean.com.
Right. We'll discuss this another time.
We'll discuss this another time.